There's this Ani DeFranco song, which has these words: "Buildings and bridges are made to bend in the wind. What doesn't bend breaks. What doesn't bend breaks." I've been thinking a lot about those words in the last many months, about buildings, about bridges, about what can help us weather this complicated time. Here in the midst of this storm, I've been thinking over and over back to that poem we heard at the beginning, to the tensile strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing. As it turns out, one of the fascinating things about buildings, especially skyscrapers, is that they are engineered to weather the wind. In creating skyscrapers, they know that the winds, that the weather, that the storms will come, and so they think about this, obviously. And this is probably the simplest lesson from buildings and bridges for us this morning, is that we can assume that they are coming. There will be storms. There will be challenges. Granted, we are now facing an exceptional moment and have been for a long time. But if you recall, it's not like easy life was what we were experiencing before the pandemic. We were, many of us, stretched thin. We were still facing death and dying. We were still buffeted by storms and wind, and this is part of the purpose of community. Part of our purpose here together is to help one another face the hard parts. And more broadly, this is the spiritual path to cultivate awareness, to cultivate practices which help us meet these challenges which come, which help us remain centered and grounded in who we are. We prepare. We soften our edges. This is the second lesson from the Soulful Skyscrapers. Hard edges, as it turns out, create more tension in the wind and the storm. So many of these tallest buildings have edges that are intentionally softened, either with inserts or spaces allowing the wind to pass, or entirely curved designs, meeting the wind with no hard edge whatsoever. Taipei 101, for a little while, the world's largest building, incorporated these softened edges, but then also embellishments all throughout the outside of the building, every 10 stories or so, all of which help meet the wind with a varied, softened face. In my own life, I have felt my edges soften. I think of the gruff father I was at the beginning, especially with Benjamin, my eldest. Granted, at the time I was just getting sober, which was a process, but I think too I was just getting used to having a family, just getting used to needing to discipline another human being, just getting used to being a husband. I blew up in anger frequently, reminding me of my own father and his heated arguments with my mother, now 15 years into marriage and fatherhood, 15 years into sobriety with 3 kids and a dog. Perhaps I am too tired to be angry anymore. I can feel my fatherhood has changed. Now with our 3rd child, we have moved through so much in these many years. I think of the great lengths we would go to get our first child a nap. We had just the right music. Norah Jones album on repeat. Still can't listen to that album. We had him in the stroller just so, with a blanket just so, rolling him back and forth for hours. Finally, he would sleep, and we felt like magicians. Many years later, we would just put Aaliyah down for a nap and walk away, and she slept just fine. It's also helped to have many years of meditation practice alongside this living. My sitting practice has made a huge difference, especially in facing these pandemic days. Every morning, after my precious early coffee and water and banana, once I do my morning work, writing and catching up on emails, looking over the day and the week ahead, I sit before rousing my family and getting their breakfast orders. Usually just 15 minutes a day, sometimes more, but usually just 15 minutes. Often with a scattered mess of a mind, planning and leaping from idea to idea, sometimes dipping into periods of focus and attention, and usually just a mix of the above. This has helped soften my edges. Practice has helped me face this storm. And it also speaks to the final and my favorite lesson for us this morning from Buildings, the tuned mass damper. Many skyscrapers have within them a huge ball, suspended by cords and hydraulic pistons towards the very top of the building, right at the middle, a huge weight which helps them stabilize the building in storms. The image on the cover of your order of service is the tuned mass damper in the building Taipei 101. It is 728 tons, and it is suspended by 5-story-long cables there in the core of the top of the building. This is from an article about that very ball. The mass damper in Taipei 101 has to contend with more than just the wind. It is just 660 feet from a major fault line. Earthquakes are a significant threat, and a few years back, the mass damper was given its greatest test in the form of Typhoon Sulador, which moved the damper an entire meter from its resting position. The farthest it's ever been pushed. Through it all, Taipei 101 has remained standing, earning it the title of the world's toughest building. By popular mechanics, no less. In a typhoon, 728 tons of metal was moved more than a meter at the top of this building, and the building was fine. This is our purpose here together. To build within us gravitational centers, to know who we are and what is most important to us. Every Sunday, we come here to this holy place, adding layers upon layers to this core within you. Every new person you meet, whether they've been coming for 40 years or 40 minutes, every connection of authenticity and truth, you are adding layers. You are strengthening and deepening the core within you. Every time you answer the call to serve, to help someone with rides or show up for our refugee family, the Sulaimanis, who are helping get settled and connected, every time you drink in this beautiful music, this full and connected silence, every time you listen to your own deepest knowing, you are adding layers to this core within you. You are strengthening the cords that hold that center up. This is our work. Right here in this storm, right here in these winds, to tend to our center, to show up for one another, to remain awake and softening. This again, those words we started with. When the great plates slip, and the earth shivers and the flaw is seen to lie in what you trusted most, look not to more solidity, to weighty slabs of concrete poured or strength of cantilevered beam to save the fractured order. Trust more the tensile strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing. There's your strength. Here's your strength. Amen.